This is the June 2020 Yu-Gi-Oh! Unbanned list review. So, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list just dropped recently, and it didn't actually have any bans on it, or any form of limitations. On the contrary, the only thing that actually happened on this list was the unlimiting of 3 different prisoners of the limited list. A lot of people really didn't seem to like this list because it didn't do anything to affect the metagame. But I believe this list was actually good in the grand scheme of things. Due to social distancing and quarantining, there hasn't been a single real tournament for people to play the recently released Adamantipator and Eldritch decks. And the fact that these cards have been released during the quarantine, it would be pretty terrible of Konami to outright ban anything out of these decks before anyone got the opportunity to actually play with them after they only just purchased them. And while running into these decks online can be annoying, it would lose any sense of trust that the player base has in Konami to just ban product they just released. Unbans and unlimits are the best thing that the TCG can really do while social distancing is a thing. Let's go on to look at the 3 unlimits. So the 3 unlimits we had were Altergeist Multifaker to 3, Necros of Unicorn to 3, and Ritual Beast Altacanahawk also to 3. But let's start talking about the first one on the list, Altergeist Multifaker. I was taking a screenshot from YugiohTopDecks.com for these things, because it's been a real pain to try accessing anything else on the internet with social distancing in effect. But it used to be limited for good reason, because the deck was actually really good for a long while. And hasn't actually been on the list for all that long. I don't even think it's really been a full year yet. With Altergeist Multifaker, I feel as though this one was only taken off because there's new Altergeist support coming out in new sets, and that Konami wanted to push product, and Multifaker to 3 doesn't make Altergeist the best deck all of a sudden. It makes it a lot better and makes it definitely a good meta contender. I would definitely think that would be one of the top decks, but not better than Eldritch or Adamantipator. Multifaker adds a lot of consistency to the deck and means that Altergeist no longer have to play things like Sandgin to get to their 1 copy of Multifaker, which sort of gets their value engine rolling. And while I don't hate the idea of Altergeist being at full power, I would have just preferred they push it to semi-limit first before unleashing the deck all the way back to full power. And this is probably the most influential of any of these items that have come onto the unlimited list of cards you can play. Next up, we got Necros of Unicorn. The last of the Necros cards have finally escaped from the ban list, except for Jin. Jin is a Necros card and will never leave the ban list. Since Konami started taking these rituals off the list, the deck has seen varying levels of rogue success. I believe that getting 2 more Unicorn will finally cement the deck as a viable rogue strategy. And now that Necros is actually consistent and does not have to worry about whether she uses Unicorn as a search or just to summon it. Rituals can be a thing now. And for the last item on our list, we have Ritual-based Altacanahawk. I've actually talked about this card already in a previous video about cards that didn't belong on a limited list still. Ritual Beasts are a combo deck that date back to the same set as Necros. This burning question allowed for repeatable loops that allowed multiple searches for Ritual Beast cards, because there's not a single hard once per turn clause on this card. The deck would have long combo turns that would end in 1 big monster and usually 4 set back row. And it still can do that. While the deck was strong for its day, this is 2020 now, and there's just so many ways to shut this deck down that it's almost comical. The deck's M board might be pretty good, but it doesn't really hold to a candle to whatever Adamantipator is doing. And while I doubt that the deck will be as good as Necros will be with all 3 Shuret, Brionac, and Unicorn, as well with the incantation support, I think that with the 3 birds, the deck is at least playable now. And finally, let's talk about the things that weren't taking off the list. Starting with pendulums. Pendulum magicians have been knifed on the ban list repeatedly. At this point, the deck is beyond unplayable at the tournament level. The main cards that I wanted to see come off the list were Performer Battle Skullcrobat Joker to 1, or Double Iris Magician. Neither one of these cards to 1 would make the deck broken. Joker would help to boost the deck's consistency, that it would actually not brick every time you try drawing a hand. Double Iris would also allow the Pendulum Magician players to start using the Pendulum Graph cards again to give it a level of resilience to board breaking that it just really doesn't have right now. And up next of decks that didn't see anything come off, we had Burning Abyss. Burning Abyss is another deck that's had a large number of cards on the list for a long time. Difference is that Burning Abyss has floated in and out of rogue play for pretty much since its inception. Well, it was meta to start with, but it's been floating around there. But I think that having additional copy of either Graph, Seer, or Beatrice would really help out the deck to sort of be played as something other than a Dragon Link strategy. Recently there was a top list that played Burning Abyss as a Trap Stun-esque deck, but I don't think that giving one back of any of those cards would really break the game. And finally, after looking at this other Burning Abyss cards that are here, we have Monarchs. There is one card in Monarchs that still has not come off the pan list, that one being Pantheism of the Monarchs. It's the deck search card, but without any consistency in a deck whose biggest problem is bricking, it basically renders the whole archetype unplayable. The deck was good for 2016 standards, but just like Ritual Beast, the deck isn't really doing anything that the meta isn't doing better, even if it is at full power. Plus, we don't have the FDK anymore. You don't have to worry about that. Well, hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day.